Hi again. Ever wondered why business models and business modeling are so important? The easy answer is that it helps you to communicate and to focus, to share and discuss different views and ideas. However, in general, models are just heuristics. Heuristics help you to deal with a problem, to gain insight, to manage complexity and to communicate. In the previous video, we discussed the VIP model as an intermediate solution between business model thinking for networked enterprises and the implementation of a business model in an IT environment. In this lecture, we will discuss some alternative models that are being used. These models can be applied to individual firms and ecosystems. We present these alternative models because they might fit your problem, personal or company preferences better. We start with a more strategic focused model and will finish with a very simple tool-based approach. So, there are many alternative models. However, we can only introduce 4 of them, and we can only introduce them shortly. Each of these 4 models emphasize another view on your operational model, from more strategic to more operational. The first model is related to Porter's strategy thinking and is labeled activity diagram. The second one is related to a more financial and value-oriented approach, the E3 value model. The third one actually concerns a broader set of models that are related to business process modeling and business process management. We will discuss only one of them more specifically, the ARIS model. And the final one is a very practical one, the deadly waste approach. This tool is developed by members of the Business Makeover team. We only provide short introduction to these approaches with a focus on the pros and cons. We will provide links to some of the models via the platform. Porter's activity diagram is a descriptive diagnostic tool to identify your organization's competitive advantage. It connects your value proposition to the activities of your organization that enable you to deliver the value proposition. The most well-known and often used example is the activity diagram Porter made himself for Southwestern Airlines. Southwestern Airlines was one of the first low-cost carriers in the US. The essence of the value proposition is that Southwest offers short-haul, low-cost, point-to-point services between mid-sized cities and secondary airports in large cities. All activities and management of resources and capabilities are focused on delivering the service as proposed in the value proposition. All activities fit, are consistent and reinforce each other. The activities are based on optimization and cost-cutting principles. Porter stresses the importance of coordination and information exchange across activities to eliminate redundancy and minimize wasted efforts. However, the descriptions are so generic that it doesn't help IT managers, information analysts and application developers to understand the business and information processes in detail. The positive element of activity diagram is that it focuses on core activities only. The main focus is on value activities and financial, cost-related topics. However, it doesn't help a firm if you want to understand the actual processes that need to be executed, or the information needed in that process. So, although interesting from a strategic point of view, the value for day-to-day operations is limited. Activity diagram only offer a post hoc explanation for the success of a company, but doesn't offer you practical guidelines. E3 Value is developed by Jaap Gordijn. He takes Porter's approach a step further. His approach focuses on modeling the core actor and their value activities. He uses a graphical approach. See the slide. His approach models the values as exchanged between core actors in an ecosystem. The value modeling is based on monetization of products or services that are exchanged between actors. These actors also include customers or customer segments. Values are both tangible and intangible values. However, monetization of intangible value is quite hard, and in the end the model is based on a simple cost-benefit reasoning. The exchange of information and knowledge was not originally modeled in the E3 value, but is now included in an extension that deals with information and knowledge processes. Moreover, value creation can take place at other moments and in complementary ecosystems, as is for instance the case in Industry 4.0 solutions. The model, including cost-benefit, is rather static and not open for other more dynamic investment models, like for instance the real options approach. It's also highly vulnerable for including the right actors from an ecosystem. The most important contribution of Gordijn's approach is the use of diagrams to make value exchange explicit. Based on his ideas, alternative approaches are developed, such as the value delivery modeling language. This language is used by VDMB. They integrate business model approaches like Canvas and the business model cube with value modeling tools. However, VDMB's tools need a fair amount of training. The discussed value models until now just focus on value and explore information processes. However, there's a whole discipline that focuses on process redesign and process management. One well-known approach is ARIS. ARIS provides both a business process model as well as a technical process model. ARIS is supported by all kinds of web tools and closely related to enterprise architecture thinking. Like our enterprise architecture thinking, ARIS emphasizes that each process is performed by an actor. That's the organizational view. Requires or generates data, what represents the data view, is composed by several actions, a functional view, and has some kind of output, the product or service view. In the video of our Finnish colleague, we have seen that a number of these concepts are discussed in more detail in enterprise architecture approaches. We'll come back on these concepts in the last block of this course. So, the business process modeling approach is trying to connect business with IT. Most BPM approaches are single company focused and don't discuss the ecosystem aspects. The approach is less focused on value exchange and rather operational. Often companies are trying to manage and redesign their processes to improve performance and to reduce cost. For instance, Olsson developed a prioritization and categorization method to diagnose the processes in terms of effectiveness, efficiency and relevance against certain contextual business and industry factors. He applied this approach in large companies like, for instance, Ericsson. These types of approaches and methods are often heavyweight and focus on individual firms. A more lightweight approach and a simple approach is the deadly waste approach, as developed within the Business Makeover EU community. The deadly waste approach is focused on the practical optimization of processes. It looks for the sources and causes of waste in your processes. Based on the acronym downtimes, the following type of waste like defects, overproduction, waiting, non- or miscommunication, transportation, inventory, motion, excess processing and skills are mentioned. The diagnostic tools help you to identify the source of inefficiencies and to come up with solutions. On the businessmakeover.eu platform you will find the tools and an example case about pizza delivery. The tool is simple and straightforward and can be used by SMEs and entrepreneurs themselves. So, the pros and cons of the four approaches can roughly be summarized as follows. Porter activity diagram is interesting from a value and strategy approach, but lacks operational details and design options. E3 value is a great approach for value modeling, but misses more operational steps towards information process and IT implementation. Process management tools are very helpful to get insights in interdependency on a process and operational level, but misses the value exchange aspect. The so far mentioned methods are often rather heavyweight. A lightweight alternative is the deadly waste approach. In conclusion, all these approaches offer a part of the solutions. Some of the approaches are cumbersome, as commitment from a lot of involved people and need consultancy support. The integration of a value-focused data, information and knowledge generation in combination with physical processes are largely missing. Most approaches focus on a single firm. These limitations were the reason to develop the VIP approach. The VIP model, as presented in the previous video, is an attempt to mediate between business model, value, and enterprise architect thinking. We want you to use the VIP approach, or one of the 4 discussed alternatives, to extend the analysis of your ecosystem. Focus on value exchange, information processes, and operational processes. This will be the focus of the assignment. Good luck with the assignment.